Hey, y'all. Good morning or evening or afternoon, whenever you're catching this video. I am Coach Nikki Cates, and this is a self-coaching vlog. All right. Well, how are you? I'm doing great. I wanted to share something with you all from my book. All right, this is the proof, but yeah, I wanted to share something with you because I was thinking about how a lot of times we feel like we have to, and I'm guilty of this. I literally was just looking for a business coach online last night, knowing doggone well I don't need to spend no more money on no more nothing right now, and really just do the work. But it's like a habit is not the word I'm looking for, y'all. But it's like a response. Is it a trauma response? Somebody tell me if it's a trauma response, where you feel like you need someone to help you get to the next step or the next point or the next success or whatever. And so then you go out and you hire a personal trainer, a nutritionist, a dietitian, a health coach, a life coach. Like, granted, I'm a life coach, so I'm not saying don't go out and do these things. But what I'm saying is, why aren't we trusting ourselves? And for me, for a long time, I did not trust myself. But it was because I was dealing with self-neglect and self-hate. That was my journey. Now, I'm not saying that you hate yourself, but there may be some trauma that has not been dealt with. There may be some self perspectives that need to be dealt with that are hindering you from trusting yourself. I remember I had this conversation with my oldest daughter 3, 4 years ago. And we were talking about how she doesn't trust her own decision making. She's well beyond that now, y'all. But at the time, she was the type that would constantly call people to get their opinion before making a decision. Call this friend, that friend, call her mama, call, you know. And I used to be the same way. So I was speaking truly from experience here that that's not the best way to go about life. Seeking other people's decision, like other people's opinions, because an opinion, everybody's got an opinion. That doesn't mean it's right for you. And I had to learn that the hard way. I learned it through spiritual hard knocks. Because the person that well, not the person, but the being that I should be asking an opinion of would be the Lord, right? Not that you should never ask people for their opinion, y'all. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that cannot be your automatic go to, your end all for all, that you need the consensus of people. Because that just takes you right back to people pleasing, which is what? A trauma response, which is a mask that you are wearing. And that mask is to try to keep you from dealing with yourself, honestly. Why don't you trust yourself? Like this process that I'm going through with losing the weight again. I'm working on doing this in a way where I am trusting myself. I am paying attention to my body. I am being mindful and intentional of acknowledging where I am at this point in my life. So it's not just let me cut calories and cut carbs and do all these things to lose the weight quickly, because I already know what that's going to end up looking like. It's going to look like me gaining it right back when I decide I don't want to live a deprived lifestyle anymore. So, do you understand what I'm saying to you? So, I wanted to share this with you real quick. This is out of my book, Reciprocity. It's out of chapter 1. And here are some common signs and manifestations of self-hate and self-neglect in women. Negative self-talk. Women struggling with self-hate often engage in a consistent pattern of negative self-talk. This involves being overly critical of yourself, fixating on perceived flaws or shortcomings, and frequently berating yourself for not meeting unrealistic standards. Low self-esteem. Self-hate can manifest as chronically low self-worth. You may feel undeserving of happiness, success, or love, which can lead you to settle for less in various areas of life, whether in relationships, career, or personal fulfillment. Seeking external validation. Without a sense of self-acceptance, you may seek constant validation and approval from others to feel some sense of worth. This can result in becoming overly dependent on others' opinions, often neglecting your own needs and desires in this process. Self-isolation. Self-hate can lead to withdrawal from social interactions, as women may isolate themselves from friends and family. You might feel like a burden to others or fear judgment, which further reinforces negative beliefs about yourself. Neglecting physical health. Women experiencing self-hate often neglect their physical well-being, ignoring regular exercise, following unhealthy diets, or skipping routine medical checkups. This behavior may stem from feelings of unworthiness or a lack of self-care. Ignoring emotional needs. Self-hate can cause women to suppress their emotions or avoid dealing with them altogether. Bottling up feelings of sadness, anger, or anxiety only increases emotional distress over time. Depression and anxiety often go unchecked, causing endless cycles of misery and mental strain. Perfectionism. Struggling with self-hate may drive women toward an exhausting pursuit of perfection. The constant pressure to meet unrealistic expectations leads to intense self-criticism when you inevitably fall short. Self-destructive behaviors. In severe cases, self-hate can manifest through self-destructive behaviors, such as substance abuse, self-harm, or engaging in risky activities to cope with emotional pain. It can also show up as staying in toxic environments or abusive relationships. Disregarding boundaries. Women who grapple with self-hate often struggle to set and maintain healthy boundaries. You may tolerate mistreatment, disrespect, or abuse, which further reinforces negative self-perceptions. Lack of self-care. Self-neglect can show up as ignoring basic needs, whether it's personal hygiene, grooming, or getting adequate rest, because you may not see yourself as deserving of care and attention. Now, obviously, these are subjective. That doesn't mean that you hate yourself to the extent that you no longer want to be on this earth, but it could be that there is definitely some self-neglect there caused by something that you haven't quite tapped into yet, a root that needs to be pulled, a weed that needs to be removed from your garden, right? And to be honest with you, I have experienced all of these, and I'm happy to say that, looking back over them, that I've been doing very good about, yeah, healing and moving past these. For me, the self-hate, and I tell the story in the book, but it came from teen pregnancy. I had a huge dream of my future. My family did. They drilled it in me. The oldest child and grandchild, I was going to go to college and I was going to do all these great things. And then I got in high school, and I was just telling my daughter yesterday how I was raised to be a soldier, but told not to become a soldier. Oh, but for some reason it resonated with me, and I absolutely loved putting on those boots and that uniform. So I was in ROTC for a couple years, and that was my vision for myself. I wanted to eventually become a drill sergeant and then continue on from there. Um, and when I got pregnant, to me, that went out the window, right? And I was not given an option for an abortion. That was not even on the table, y'all. Um, the expectation was, you have this baby, and if you're not going to raise it, my mom was like, I'll raise it. And I couldn't do that to my mom. I mean, I can't even imagine nowadays having to raise a child in my 40s, 50s, 60s. Shout out to all of y'all that do it though. Um, thankfully, thankfully, I had enough awareness to recognize that that was not something I needed to do. So I gave myself as a living sacrifice to family. And I did that for many years. I don't regret it because my girls are my heart. And now I have my grandson who just opened up a whole different part of my heart, y'all. So I am so grateful. But I did hate myself deep down for a long time for those mistakes or those poor decisions. That would be the better way to say it, not mistakes. Poor decisions that I made and the reason why I made them. It wasn't even like good reasoning, right? So think about that as you're going through this process. I think that though that perspective there is something that needs to be dealt with in therapy. I wouldn't encourage you to consider self-coaching yourself until you have at least established, okay, some healing with a professional. And that may not be a coach, it may just be a therapist, and that's okay. Because then you're dealing with the trauma, you're bringing it out in the open, and you're able to pinpoint it, you're able to name and tame how you've been feeling, um, any self-destructive habits, where you've been neglecting, how you can change it, and so forth. I would really suggest all of us to do that. I encourage all of my girls to go to therapy, at least for a little while, because all of us have something. Once you do that, or in conjunction with doing that, then you can begin to do the work of coaching yourself. Obviously, having a coach also, at least occasionally, if anything, to help guide that process would be smart, right? Because let me just make it clear, a coach does not tell you what to do. A coach creates a safe space. We are skilled facilitating safe spaces for you to figure out your own answers. That's what coaching is supposed to do, okay? So I want you to keep that in mind because I'm doing that for myself, but you're watching me do this for myself because I've already been through that process of therapy and becoming more self-aware and healing and getting a greater understanding of the traumas that I have experienced and my response to them, figuring out healthier coping mechanisms and so forth. All of these things that need to be done with a professional. Then you can start to do the inner work, the soul work, and pursuing your spiritual growth simultaneously in order to get to a place where you feel fulfillment in your life in a holistic way, right? Because we keep talking about the whole of it all, not just your weight or your body, not just your career, not just your finances, not just your love life. Holistically, you want to see fruit that remains. Holistically, you want to be fruitful. Holistically, you want to walk in dominion in all aspects of life. You want to thrive. That's what all of us want. We may not articulate it that way, but that's what all of us want. Okay? So for me, for instance, I do not have my dream home yet. I do not have my dream career all the way on track. But I do have so many other aspects of my life to be grateful for, right? And because of that, I know that there is fruit in my life that already remains, and I'm grateful for that. And I am humble enough to recognize that focusing on what I don't have instead of what I do not only is a slap in the face to the Lord for his goodness and his faithfulness, but it is also a slap in the face to those that don't have what I have. If we live in this country, most likely we are wealthier than a good majority of people across the globe. Just that alone, somewhere safe and comfortable to lay your head at night, where you don't feel like someone's coming, you know, coming to destroy your personal space. That alone is something to be super grateful for. You know, yeah, we may feel like we're struggling, but that's because we live in a country that has created that kind of a system for us. It's not necessarily all on us, right? But God, with Him, with a little humility and allowing ourselves to be weak so that He can be strong, and staying connected to Him by His Spirit, we can be fruitful even when it was meant for us not to be. But you have to believe that in every way. And that starts with one foot in front of the other, one day at a time, of healing, allowing your soul to be well. Because remember, it's out of your soul that you speak. It's out of your soul that your issues of life flow. It's out of your soul that you attract people, good or bad. So that has to happen first. And for me, with this weight loss journey, one thing I know is that I've been doing the work on the inside. And that's what really matters. You can gain and lose weight. You can grow your hair, cut your hair. Nowadays, you can get surgeries done, right? You can make the external changes. But this on the inside, that's what really matters. All right, y'all. I feel like I'm preaching now. For me, the scale has not really moved, but again, noticing shirts feeling a little looser. So I am noticing some small changes in my body. So I am on the right track. I am back to intermittent fasting by only eating in the morning, and then from noon on to the next morning, not consuming anything but water and, sugarless tea and stuff like that. So staying on the path, on the journey, y'all, working our way to the weekend. And I'm just going to warn y'all now, I'm going to Atlanta to be with my family for my grandson's 3rd birthday. I will not be thinking about nobody's watching what I'm eating and none of that. So we got to do really well this week because it's going out the window this weekend. No, not fully, y'all. Not fully. But you already know I struggle on the weekends. So being with my family and out of town and traveling, we'll see what happens. I'm going to set an intention to not destroy everything, not overdo it, basically. All right. Well, I will talk to y'all tomorrow. And check out my book, y'all. Reciprocity Eludes Me. And join the Unmasked series through our Sisters Unbothered Substack. Okay? All right. I appreciate y'all. Have a great day. Talk to you tomorrow.